Nah. Because the thing is, for me, when I was trading that and I made that £100,000 withdrawal, you're on such a high. You're on such a high. And I kept getting flashbacks to the point where, I've done this before, but I blew this before.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's Nqobile Tembane from Top Traders South Africa, and I'm bringing you guys another installment of Market Masters, where I sit down with the most talented and prominent individuals in the game. And today I am joined by Andy Walker. I call him Andrew. I think he just prefers Andy, right?
Indeed. I only get called Andrew when I'm in trouble.
Really?
So Andy's normal for me.
Yeah, nah, I don't think you're in trouble today, but we'll see how much trouble we can get into.
Sure.
Yeah, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah, I can't complain. It's a new week, new opportunities. It's, another day, another dollar.
Yeah, no, that's true. That is true. Yeah, so you guys know we always bring you guys some of the top tier people in the industry. And I think a lot of you guys would like to know, because a lot of you are well known in the industry for...
I wouldn't say I'm well known. I would say...
the industry. I wouldn't say in the larger community, but the industry, everyone knows FX Goat CEO over there.
The Mlungu from FX Goat. That's me.
That's you. Me. Yeah, exactly. So, I think today's chat, I really just want to dive into your story, I really just want to find out, especially the trading part, because, I know there's a bit of UK in your story and whatnot. Is it London? UK, London?
UK, correct.
UK in your story. But obviously, I just want to tie everything together. I want to get to know you, the person, and how you got involved in the industry and in trading. And so let's go back. Let's start where it all started. How old are you right now?
I'm 23.
23. Wow, gee.
I look a lot older, eh?
I feel very I feel very old right now. Yeah, I feel very old right now. Okay, 23. So when did you start trading? Like, when did you have your first, but when did you have your first interaction with Forex?
Okay, with Forex, it was back in 2016 or so. I was sitting in maths class.
Oh, yeah.
And there was an individual in my class. He's actually a Forex trader. He's also well known from Rivonia. His name is Wolf of Rivonia, or David. Oh, yeah. And he was sitting in front of me with Meta open. And I was like, this man is failing class, but this man is sitting on his phone. And I just looked at it, and then all of a sudden at the top I saw blue, and it said ZAR. And I was like, what's this? So I asked him, what are you doing? He said, no, I'm actually trading Forex. I'm buying NASDAQ. This time NASDAQ was at like 6,000, 8,000 around there. And I was like, nah, there's no way. And then week after week I saw he would come to school, with stuff that he didn't have before.
So is this like varsity or is this high school?
High school. This is grade 9, grade 10.
Sure.
So this is way back.
Yeah.
So this man's coming with new phones. He's coming with new things. He's like, I can't play PlayStation. I'm like, there's no way. This man's in school, right? And I know his family and stuff. And I was like, maybe there's something going on. But they told me, no, Forex. And I said, what the hell? And then ever since that day, I sat down and investigating. I started with Pepperstone, that kind of thing. And then there was a whole mix-up in my situation, and I actually moved to the UK.
Okay.
And then, I was chucked in the deep end that side, and I gave up Forex. Well, I wouldn't say I gave up because I didn't really pursue it. I was like, nah, this is a get quick rich scheme. It's a pyramid scheme kind of thing. So I didn't really focus on it. But that was my first interaction with Forex. It was sitting in maths class.
OctaFX has launched a renaming campaign and rebranded as Octa. The campaign aims to showcase the brand development, including diversification of trading instruments for clients and implementation of new product features to make trading clear and accessible for everyone. Their simpler name reflects their goal of making trading easy for everyone. This change is also part of a larger transformation as a financial service as they wish to stay ahead in the fintech industry. Now, don't be afraid. Your account won't be affected by the campaign renaming. Your account details and data will remain secure and unaffected by the campaign renaming. Your information is confidential and is handled with the utmost care as always. To celebrate Octa renaming, I'm going to give you the TTSA promo code TOPTRADER for 100% bonus to your deposit. The link is in the description. Trading made clear with Octa.
was. Yeah. So okay. So you get chucked from this side to the UK, but so a lot of people would have the assumption that when you get to the UK, that's when you like start to, just like going to New York or Chicago or, those kind of things, be like, no, that's where you start seeing real traders. So do you get that side? Do you do anything about that?
No, so it was sort of, me and my family, we were sitting down since about 2015 and we were waiting for our house on the market to sell to decide to move to the UK. So I dropped out of grade 10, at the end of grade 10, I passed grade 10 and I got sent to the UK. So actually on my 17th birthday, I landed in the UK and I worked for about 9 months.
Sure.
So I was doing part-time work, working as a barista, that kind of stuff. Because their school year runs from September to June. So it's not like us, which is January to December. So I was sort of chucked in. And the thing is, when you immigrate to the UK, right, you need a sort of a door that's open for you and how you can get in. So like visas or parents or something like that. And for me, I had to go through a hurdle where my mom could get, because she's British, she could get me into the UK. But then we had to earn X amount of money to qualify to bring my dad over. And then my brother. So I was sort of chucked in straight into the deep end. And I remember on the 1st of February, I started my first job.
Yeah.
And that was working at a coffee shop.
Sure. One of my questions I have here was like, do you come from money? But
I wouldn't say I come from a lot of money. I would just say in the financial position my parents were in, we were comfortable. We didn't have a lavish lifestyle or anything like that. But I think it all goes down to how my parents raised me as an individual.
Yeah.
I was never, I was given pocket money and stuff like that, but it got to a point where my parents were like, why am I giving you money? And that sort of instilled entrepreneurial in me to go and do something. So actually, in the south, in the Vaal, there's a small town called Andile. And we had quite a big back garden. And I decided, my dad was growing vegetables. And I was like, no, we can make money from this. So actually, we set up beds, we started growing vegetables. And I would actually go sit at the taxi rank and the bus stop and sell tomatoes and onions for my first income as a 14, 15-year-old.
Sure.
So that's how it all started, and getting into business. And I was like, there's a taste for this in terms of I don't want to be stuck 9 to 5, and going back to just selling things, walking down the buses, selling tomatoes for 5 rand and stuff. You learn to appreciate money different. But I wouldn't say we come from a wealthy background at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Sure. Yeah, because you've done so well for yourself to date. And I think it's usually the assumption that a lot of people make you being white. I'm going to use the term white because people are like, nah, he's white, he comes from white money, those kind of things like that. But you've done so well for yourself though.
I tell you, I've probably had 18, 19 jobs.
Sure.
And I'm only 23.
Yeah.
And that's from, studying part-time at college, working part-time jobs. And again, like I said, my parents instilled something in me to appreciate the value of what you've earned. You know what I mean? If it takes you an hour to buy something, you learn the value of that hour. But when your parents just give you something, you learn the value in, Daddy, can I please have money for this? Not essentially going out and saying, how can I get this myself? Because there's a different things when something's given to you and when something's earned. And for me, that's the biggest contrast between people my age that are not successful and where I sit today. I didn't have a partying age. I don't drink, so I've never been drunk. I've been drunk once on my 18th birthday. Yeah. But I don't have that, the young stigma that, he goes out to parties, he's irresponsible, this. And I think it's from the age of 17, when you're chucked in the deep end, you sort of, you sink or float. And luckily for me, I ended up floating.
Yeah. And you ended up swimming.
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay. So you find yourself in the UK around about now, and you working. You said you worked for like 9 months. Was it 9 months?
Yeah. So in the beginning, in order to qualify your parents to come over, you need to, as a household, earn a certain amount of money so that you can support them.
Okay.
Because the biggest thing is the government doesn't want them to come and then be a burden on the government. So we had to earn a conjunction about £18,600 a year.
Okay.
So with my mom working and me working, we were able to put stuff together to be like, okay, now my brother can come, okay, my dad can come. And it's almost like, when I left South Africa, I left with 2 suitcases. That's it. 2 suitcases. And my lounge suite was packed up in a container and that kind of stuff. But I was chucked in the deep end. The biggest thing is, there's one thing going to the UK for holiday, and there's one thing living there.
Okay.
And for me, I recently moved back in 2022. I lived in Cape Town for about a year. And for me, the UK, as much as the grass is greener, it's not for me.
Yeah.
I mean, just the cultures and stuff like that. But I mean, you get some people that make the best out of it, and you get some that don't. And you know, for me, I've never been in the situation where I've complained about the situation I'm in and never done anything about it. And that for me is the biggest thing. Is that people complain all the time. Oh, I have a bad job. I have this. Okay, but what are you doing to improve it? You're just expecting stuff handed to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Sure. So okay. Now your journey of trading, like, where do you press resume on that?
Okay, so the trading, I would say, ever since I was introduced that year in high school, probably maybe a year and a half later, one of my friends that I was in high school with that same time, he just came to the UK to play football for trials up in Blackpool. And he needed a place to stay, so I let him stay by me. And he was at that time trading Forex. And he was explaining to me, no, we can do this. And I said, okay. His name was Tepi. He said, he has £200, let's trade this thing. I never knew what leverage was. I never knew what lot size was. Next. So we go to Pepperstone. I speak to my dad about what's happening in South Africa. And my first ever trade, USD ZAR. Buy.
Yeah.
And I entered a 0.01 and I was like, nah, this is sense. What am I doing? And it wouldn't allow me to open a bigger position.
Okay.
Because I think I was trading 1-to-1 leverage, or I don't know what it was.
Okay.
But essentially, that's where it all started. And then the deposits got bigger. I learned more about brokers, regulated brokers, leverage, and just sitting on YouTube and, you know, thinking there is money to be made in this. But the thing is, there's a reason why 98% lose. Because if you've got to think about it, if 98% of the people are learning the same thing, is that why 98% are losing? And that's
heavy.
That made me sit down.
That's heavy, yeah.
That made me sit down and think, nah, if 98% or 95% of Forex traders lose money, but they're all learning this, there must be something in this that they're learning. And that it took me about a year to sit down, and I was like, okay, I'm actually doing something right.
Yeah, but what kind of sets you apart from saying that, hey, look, the 98%, as you say, is over there, I'm moving away from that?
Yeah.
What set you apart, or what was the mindset behind that?
Okay, the biggest thing is, of course, when you join Forex, you look at all the mentors. I'm going to buy his signals. He's driving a Ferrari. I want that. And I bought signals, and I was learning support, resistance, trend lines, all of that, and it was losing. Like, you would win a trade and then lose. Win a trade, lose. And I said, nah. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm start going to do the opposite. So this man would send a buy. I would send a sell. I would sell.
Yeah.
And that for me was the biggest revelation in terms of everybody seeing the same thing. And of course, like they say, the market maker or the guy that's controlling all the volume and stuff, he's after those people's stop losses. Because if you taught where to put a stop loss in terms of double top, double bottom, resistance, that kind of stuff, your stop loss is going to get taken before the real move happens. And that for me was the big changing point. Instead of approaching the market as a retail trader, you look at it and you think, okay, as a market maker or anything, where am I targeting stop losses here? Because the biggest thing is liquidity moves the market.
Yeah.
And once you understand that concept of liquidity, you either are liquidity or you trade liquidity. And that's the biggest thing that set me apart.
Yeah. Who is the market maker?
Hey, I would love to know. I would love to know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's always hints in market structure, and it just depends on your comprehension and your understanding of what's actually happening to determine what's about to happen. Because there's a famous video on TikTok that says there's a move that comes first. The move comes after the masses have been stopped out.
Okay.
And just small things like this were ticking over in my head. I'm thinking, there must be a reason why 98% are losing, because they're all losing because of support, resistance, trend lines, all of that stuff. And then you make it yours, and you make the plan yours, and you figure out what works for you and stuff. And unfortunately for me, I didn't learn on a demo.
Okay.
So I want to say that helped me excel in trading, because, you know, with live capital and you don't exactly know what you're doing, you're taking everything as a lesson as you come. And I want to say, after a year of sitting back and letting everything tick over, I finally hit something, and it worked for me.
Okay.
And then, in the UK, I bought FX Goat courses and stuff. So that's how I became part of the brand as a student in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
And I just, because we grew up in the same area. So I would see them drive past and stuff in their cars.
Okay.
And that's where I was like, okay, but I'm in the UK and they're trading Forex. So let me look at that. And then ever since then, their course and stuff, it helped me with that breakthrough, just looking at the market a different way, perceiving things differently. And then, it just went from strength to strength.
That's very controversial, you know, what you basically just said right now. And And this is I'm just asking this based on the masses on social media, because you said the course brought value for you.
Indeed.
Okay.
And I think the biggest problem is people say the FX Gold course is a scam, it's this and this. It all comes down to the value that you put into it, if you know what I mean. So at the time, I think I bought the course, it was $300. It was a currency course, $300. And again, it instills something in you that I've gone and I've bought something. I need to make the best out of this situation that I have with the tools that I've just purchased. Instead of taking a strategy and trading it for 2-3 months, winning and then jumping to another because I'm in a losing streak, the course that I bought, I actually took it and I embraced every single moment, every single second of all the videos in that thing. And I put it in my mind and I said, okay, there must be a way to do this. And like I said, you take what's given to you and you make it yours. So they laid out the formula. And you sort of take it and say, okay, well, that doesn't work for me and that doesn't work for me, but I'm going to take the rest.
Yeah.
And from there, it just grew.
Okay.
It just grew. And like you say, on social media, they're saying that it's a scam and this, but again, there's a misconception in the industry. If I buy this course, next week I'm going to get a Lamborghini.
Yeah, that's true.
Forgetting all the work and stuff that goes into it. I mean, you can go buy a physics textbook for grade 12. It doesn't mean you're going to pass grade 12. But it's sitting down and reading the book and understanding what you're reading. That's the biggest difference.
That's so true.
And that's the biggest thing that we found at FX Goat is calling us a scam because people were expecting stuff on a golden spoon.
Yeah. But it's not just there. I think it's across the board, essentially speaking, because I think so many people are just so influenced and they see all these cars, they see everything, and I think they kind of forget there's work that needs to be put in.
Exactly.
And nobody wants to put in the work, and it's so sad. Yeah, okay, so life goes. So you learned from your friend. You learned from your friend who came to the UK. And what was that learning process for you? Like, what really went into you learning how to trade?
I think the biggest thing that helped me is at the time when I was studying at college. So I had college 3 days a week, and I had a job the rest of the days of the week. But now this job was at a vape store in a very, very small town. So it was relatively quiet. So it allowed me to, at the same time, get an income from a job as well as sit on my phone and trade. Because a lot of people say, how do you trade while doing a 9-to-5? And for me, I was in a lucky situation that I was in a vape store, managing it by myself, that I could sit on my phone and I could start trading. And from there, with me being able to get an income and not have pressure, I was able to flourish at my own time when it came to making money. And now the thing is, I didn't make money straight away. The biggest thing is, if you look back how much I've lost, I've probably lost over £250,000 in trading. But that £250,000 came from the market. But the biggest thing, the process, what it was like, is how you retain that capital. I would take £1,000, turn it into 5,000, and be like, okay, I'm indestructible. I can now read this market backwards. So I'll go open a bigger lot, and I'm back to 100. So there's constantly it's like you take 3 steps forward, but then 9 steps back. And the biggest thing is overcoming that mental obstacle to thinking, the average salary in the UK is about £1,600. And if I'm down £5,000 in a week, why do I want to do more? And for me, that was the biggest switch, is thinking I don't need to make $1 million a week. If I make £1,000 a week, it's $4,000 a month, because times 4, that's double what anybody else is making in terms of working 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And for me, the biggest thing was just that mental block of, every time you get to a certain point on your account, you just end up going backwards. And it's just about passing that mental block and, getting past those obstacles. And the biggest thing for me is I did not compare myself to nobody.
Sure.
Nobody. Because again, I was, like I said, I was very fortunate to be in my position that I was still earning an income and I was able to trade on the side, because most jobs don't allow you to be on your phone. So again, I didn't have that pressure or anything, but at the same time, I put in the hard work to get there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, okay. So you speak about not comparing yourself with anyone, and then you also speak about the pressure. Yeah, so, how do you actually get to a place where you just like, okay, in as much as a lot of people say, hey, be inspired, take that. But to some point, you essentially be like, okay, you start like looking at your chart and comparing it with someone else's. How did you actually like overcome that and say that, hey, no, look, I really do mean it when I say I'm not comparing myself with anyone?
I think the biggest thing it comes down to is that same friend in that came to the UK, he moved back to South Africa. Now, when I was looking at him and what he was doing, he had given up on trading himself and was now investing in EAs. And I said to him, why are you doing that? Because I'm not making progress compared to, what you're doing or relatively everybody else. And that for me was the biggest click in terms of, if I'm going to consistently compare myself to everybody else, I am consistently going to be behind everybody else because I'm always looking from behind what they're doing. So, of course, they're going to be ahead of me compared to where I am now. And the biggest change for me was when I was trading, you would just, let's say I would exit a trade plus $200. And I would go to Instagram, and of course I'm following traders. And I see this guy's made 400,000 Rand in one trade. So that makes me go back to the charts and start trading. And then I sit back, and now I've lost that 200. Now I'm 400 in the hole. And this guy still made 500,000. But now the biggest thing is I sat there and I said, I wanted to be like him just because he posted that profit. But at the same time, I wasn't happy with what I had. So that just made me realize, everyone is at their own place in the journey. And I shouldn't be looking at somebody that's been doing it for 10 years and now does 500,000 consistently because that's the level he's at. But I'm still at a $200 a day level. And that for me was the biggest click in terms of, I have no idea how long this guy's been in the industry. Why am I trying to be like him from the get-go?
Yeah.
And then for me, I just sat back and I started relaxing.
Yeah.
And then I started relaxing and, just looking at things from my perspective on where I want to do and my goals. And that was the biggest thing for me. It's just, what do I want to achieve with this? Not what do I want to show everybody I've achieved. What do I realistically need to do to quit my 9 to 5?
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Yeah, sure. So life moves you. When do you stop working now?
So I moved in 2017, and I probably stopped working for somebody 2019, beginning of 2019.
Okay, but this is when the trading was going well.
This is when the trading was going well.
Okay.
I would say in late 2018, November-ish, I was probably my best trade. I made about £100,000 on gold.
Sure.
And that was on the buy. It was still like 1700s around there. And I made £100,000 over a £25,000 account.
Okay.
So I was risking the 25,000, but I made 1 to 4 risk to reward.
Yeah.
And from there, £100,000 in the UK is a bucket load of money. And
even in South Africa.
It's even worse. It's times 25.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is when I went to my mom and I was trading with ICM markets at the time, I said, Mom, I've just made £100,000. What do I do? She said, sit down and let's talk. And the biggest thing is she, again, coming from working for my money and stuff, she said, okay, how long did it take you to make this money? Now, do you want to go spend all of that money in 5 minutes at the shop? And I sat and I looked at her and I said, no, you're actually right. And then from there, that £100,000 dispersed into about 11 companies. So I was just a venture capitalist.
Okay.
So basically, with the environment my mom was working in, he owned the company, but my mom was working with him because she does the accounts. And he came to me and he said, Andy, there's something we can do here. So you start sharing the money across. And I bought a couple of shares. Of course, not every single company did well. But by the start of 2019, halfway through 2019, I was getting an income from that £100,000 that I had invested. And for that period between the beginning of 2019 and halfway through 2019, I was living off baked beans and toast. Because I didn't.
So you took all the money?
All the money, every single cent.
Sure.
I kept about maybe £1,000-2,000.
Yeah.
Just as a reserve if I want to trade again or something.
Okay.
And I put all of that money into companies. And for the 6 months, I sat doing nothing, eating baked beans.
No trading.
Nah. Because the thing is, for me, when I was trading that and I made that £100,000 withdrawal, you're on such a high. You're on such a high. And I kept getting flashbacks to the point where, I've done this before, but I blew this before. And for me, I wanted to say, okay, I've made my 100,000. It's time to relax. And the biggest thing for me was the support system that I had from my family to say, well, don't go spend it. I know you really, really want to, and there's stuff that you want, but just relax. Put your money in places and let it work for you. And now, since 2019, I have not worked for anybody.
I know a whole lot of people who would be in your position and making that kind of money and would not think that, hey, look, let me relax a bit. That is a different kind of mindset. And I think kudos to the support. You mentioned support system. And I think that's why a lot of people are lacking, especially when money starts coming in. Would you say that trade, was it also, would you also say, was there an element of luck?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the thing is, I would say there's an element of luck, and then there was an element of confidence.
Okay.
Because for me, I have a screenshot on my phone of that exact trade that it was running 100,000. As soon as it reached 100,000, I took a screenshot.
Yeah.
Because I know for the rest of my life, I'm going to remember that day, because that's the first six figure I've ever made from trading Forex. And not many people have that support structure around you and stuff. But at the same time, I would say because I was chucked in the deep end at 16, 17, I had matured way beyond what I am. Even now, I'm 23, but some people call me a Andile because the way I speak. And I think just that maturity to sit down and realize, all right, it's taken me 3 years to make this £100,000. How quickly do I want to lose it? And like I said, I'd been in this situation before where I've made 80, 90,000 pounds, think I'm instructable, trade it, then I'm back down to 4. And that for me was the biggest change, and just maturing your mindset in terms of there's broader horizons there. I'm still 19 and I'm sitting with this amount of money. What do I need this amount of money for right now? I live with my parents, food is covered, my education is free because you're in the UK, healthcare is free. What do I need this money for? And that's why I made the decision, let me put all the money out. Instead of putting it all in one basket, I spread it out. And that today, there's still 3 or 4 companies that are paying me really well, and I'm doing nothing. I sit at home all day. And that's the thing people forget about, is they think short term.
That's true.
It's more about long term. In all honesty, I could probably retire tomorrow and I'll be fine.
At 23.
At 23. But my work ethic and everything that I strive for is still pushing. I'm still young. What am I going to do? By the time I'm 40, I'm going to be bored.
Yeah, that's true.
Why not carry on,
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, okay. So you make this money and then you just stop. Again, going back to referring to the masses or a lot of people in your position would have wanted to continue to trade, because like you said, you felt you've reached 80, 90k before. You felt indestructible. You feel like a superhero. You feel like, hey, look, I can do this every other week.
I think the biggest thing is when I made this money, around the same time is when I joined FX Goat as a student. A couple of months later was when I made this big money.
Okay.
And then I just thought, no, there's more to life than eating alone. And that's why, it all came down to, they were still using a message app called Signal or something. And I sent a message to Emmanuel Mabitsela and I said, you guys are trying to do this, I can help you. And then from there, I was sort of invited into the FX Goat family, if I can call it that. And from that moment, it got me trading again. Because when your circle around you is constantly trading, you want to be involved. It's the same like peer pressure or smoking or drinking. If everyone was doing it, I want to do it. And I think for me, just the drive of not wanting to eat alone and actually say, let me go help somebody. And especially coming from South Africa, I know the situation in South Africa. I know how hard it is to actually make a living and live comfortably in South Africa. So I wanted to really give back. And that for me is, I said, okay, well, some people have really said I explain things well in this, so let me give it a shot. And actually, by mistake, I joined FX Goat as a mentor. Because it was all that time when they were transitioning onto Discord, and they set up a server, but it wasn't correct. So there were still flaws. You could invite people without paying and that kind of stuff. And I said, guys, let me show you what I can do. So instead of saying what I can do, I said, guys, I've made the server. Please just have a look, see if you'd be interested in it. And I got a message from Emmanuel. I was like, okay, let me have a look. And then a couple of minutes later, it's like, can you do this for another server? And then I joined. And then they were supposed to host a session. I remember it was a Tuesday afternoon. They were supposed to host a session. And they had load shedding or they couldn't do it. And I sent a message. I said, Emmanuel, can I just host a session and just talk about charts? Sure. So I sent that and everybody came in like, who's this guy? Why is this guy here?
Yeah.
And then I just started speaking. And then I want to say I didn't resonate with everybody immediately. But I resonated with people that I could see a bit of similarity into what I was like as a student with FX Coach. They can see something, this man knows what he's talking about, let's just try follow. Yeah. And that's how I joined. And luckily not, Emmanuel and Tapelo joined the Zoom session just to see what I was talking about and just make sure, because this new guy, he's just made us a server and now he wants to speak to our students. And they were like, okay, you're actually really, really good. We would like to bring you on board and see what you can do for us. And that's what got me back into trading and, flipping accounts, $2,000-$3,000. To this day, I still lose money, but at the end of the day, it matters what you make.
Let's talk about the flipping accounts. It's such an important element of the South African market.
As though the South African trading industry, I think it's what sells Forex. It's what it is what makes people. And when we say flipping accounts, guys, we're saying taking $100 and making it $200. That is a flip. So flipping accounts, if you guys get it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me what came in flipping an account was I wanted to protect my capital.
Okay.
So let's say I started with $100 and I'm now I've traded the week and I'm sitting on 200. I'm going to take my 100 back because this now means that I can trade this $100 with no emotion because it's not my money, it's the market's money. I've already got my deposit back.
Yeah, but people don't think like that. It's the market's money.
You see, and that's the biggest thing is that's the attachment people have to the money they deposit is I wouldn't say this is their own fault. It's just the situation they're in. Like I mentioned in the previous podcast, it's either I have this 800 Rand to eat for the month or I have 800 Rand to trade. And when you have that amount of strings attached to that money, you're going to do everything in your power to not lose that. But at the same time, you're not going to think straight. So it's the same thing like you enter a trade, you're expected to go into profit immediately. But now it goes into drawdown. Let's say you're negative $10. You say, okay, I'm going to close this when it comes back. You close it when it comes back, you're now on $100 still. You come back 20 minutes later, the chart is up. And it's just an element of self-belief and, following the plan, sticking to the plan. Because if you didn't have a plan, what's the point of doing anything, if you know what I mean? If there's no plan to back you up, you're already setting yourself up to fail.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the biggest thing. In flipping accounts, it's not easy, but it is definitely doable. You know what I mean?
Is the sustainability there?
I think so. Again, it just matters how quickly you can detach your emotions from that capital that you put in. So if you know I have, instead of, let's say, for example, instead of buying the new iPhone that's just come out, let me put that money in and work for it. And if you put that money in, of course, you're going to trade it from the element of my strings are attached to this because I could either trade this or buy an iPhone 15. Give or take, you're in a situation where you can afford to do that. But the thing is, if you trade that money responsibly and, you have a plan and everything and you stick to it and you double that money, you take your initial capital back, you are now better off than where you were before you wanted to buy the phone, if you get what I mean. So, again, it's not about planting the tree today and getting your apple tomorrow. It's about planting the tree and reaping rewards somewhere down the line of the year. And that's the biggest thing is people are expecting, I think it's also the age that we're living in. Everything is instant. I mean, you look at your phone, you get Mr. D here in half an hour. You know what I mean? And it's just that fact of instant. And that's why I think in South Africa, the biggest thing to trade is NASDAQ because it has that, if I enter 0.10, I can make 10 grand in 5 pips. You know what I mean? And that's where the whole thing instills from. And I think it's just a matter of taking a step back and realizing what do I actually want to do with this money. And that for me is the biggest separation between the 98% that lose and the 2% that win.
Yeah.
It's not massive. It's just a small little mindset change. I always say trading is like a 30-piece puzzle. If you're missing one piece, that puzzle will never be complete. And it's the same thing like your trading journey. If you skip fundamentals through your learning curve, whether that be risk management or your psychology, there's always going to be a piece missing. You're never going to have a complete puzzle.
What I think for a lot of people, they probably find themselves like, that 30-piece puzzle analogy is actually really good because you'll find that somebody's feeling like their trading is missing something. And this is what contributes the most to why people keep jumping ship from one mentor to another mentor, from one course to another course, from one trading school to another trading school, because of that missing piece. But how does one really know is that, hey, look, I've got all these things, or how does one know what's missing? Or
I think it comes down to your self-reflection and your discipline to do something. My dad always said, if you want to do something, you give 110% in what you want to do. You don't start doing 5 things and give 10%, 10%, 10%, and then 80% on one. So you put your heart and soul into what you want to do and what you want to achieve. Because only you have the limitations of what you're expecting, where I want to be next year. I can't tell you where I expect you to be next year because I don't know what you're going through, what your journey is. But if you take a step back in yourself and you think to yourself, nah, man, I can trade, but why am I not making money? And it's just about self-reflection. And the biggest thing is self-confidence. For me, the people don't have the confidence to, I want to say it's almost like a herd mentality. Because all these guys are buying GBP USD, it means they must be right. Because there's 300 people buying, it must be right. But it takes a certain individual to realize those 300 people are only doing it because they're following the rest of the 299 people. So take a different approach and look at things differently and the biggest thing on your trading journey is you got to ensure that your foundation is correct. Like anything in life, if you don't have a foundation, you can't put a roof on.
Yeah.
And it's just about going back and realizing, okay, I need to take these steps to do better or to improve where I know I'm going wrong. Because if you think to yourself, nah, I can trade, but I'm not making money, okay, then your risk management is off. Okay, I can trade, but the thing is I have difficulties holding it when it goes into profit. Okay, your psychology is an issue. And it's just things like that. And the biggest thing for me that helped me was to have a trading plan. And that trading plan consisted of my entry points, when I would exit, what am I risking, what is my reward, what am I doing, what days do I trade, what days don't I trade, what instruments I trade, what instruments I don't trade. And as soon as you have that plan, you now have a checklist to go through before you're executing a trade. So you know if the trade loses, I've done everything that my understanding that I can. But if you're just looking at a trade and think, okay, it's a buy because all of them are buying, I'm going to buy as well. And I ask you, why did you buy? You're not going to be able to answer me. You know, again, it's that herd mentality of, oh, this guy has 1,000 people in his group, he must be doing well. So again, it's self-confidence and just reflecting on it. It's a journey of self-development, not comparing it to your mentor that's been in it for 2 years. Who knows if he's even trading? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that one is very tricky.
You know, and that's the simple thing about the industry is it takes certain individuals to see through all the BS and actually to see the individual that is speaking sense.
Yeah.
And I can speak from first hand. If you look at my YouTube channel, I've only got like 4,000 subscribers. But the content that I'm putting out there is all educational.
Okay.
And I did a test where all educational, get maybe 1,000 views. I bought a Porsche.
Yeah.
How many views? And that answers it for itself, if you know what I mean. And only then do people start realizing, ish, I've been fooled all along by this fugazi of Porsche, Lamborghini, this. And for me, I've never been one to charge anyone for my services, nor post my lifestyle. I want to say in FX Goat, you had a sort of a norm you had to follow. You know, everybody else is doing this, so you have to sort of do the same thing. And I was very reluctant to do that from the start. But
it's culture.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I think once you start seeing through all of that stuff, everything becomes a lot clearer. Everything.
Yeah, sure. I'm torn right now. I'm like, should I go to charts or should we go to the left? Now, let's go to the charts a little bit before. Okay, so what are your favorite instruments?
So at the moment, I've been, for the past 3 months, I've only been trading gold.
Oh, yeah.
Gold and GBP USD. For me, I like gold because of the volume. I like it. You don't necessarily have to wait for days for price to do what you want it to do. For me, I know I'm not a patient person, so I'm not going to go trade currency pairs that don't move. And again, it's just about making the plan or suiting a plan that fits you better. And for me, some people won't trade gold because they don't understand it or because it's too risky. But so I can say the same thing about NASDAQ. What works for you might not work for me. And what works for me might not work for you.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. So again, as a beginner trader, when you come into the industry and you open MT4 for the first time and you look at all of these pairs, you think to yourself, yeah, I'm going to be busy trading here the whole day because there's an opportunity on every single pair. And that's where the biggest thing comes in is that excitement to start trading and, okay, I'm going to buy this, sell that, do this, sell this. But eventually you'll cut down. I think for the past 2 years, I've only been trading about 6 or 7 pairs. And that's all that I've stuck to.
Yeah, but you just mentioned that currency pairs, did I hear you properly when you said currency pairs, there's no money there or there's no movement?
Again, it depends. If you want to make money on currency pairs, there's an element of patience that's required.
Okay.
And for me, you need quite a big lot size to make money on currencies.
Yeah,
don't get me
that's
wrong,
true.
You can if you're compounding on different instruments. But for me, I'm not a patient person. And when, for example, you're trading CAD CHF, that thing moves sideways for weeks on weeks on weeks. So I know as an individual, I'm not going to be able to sit for a week and hold this trade.
Yeah.
So I like to trade pairs that move, I want to say, not with volatility, but with purpose, if I can put it that way. Like gold will always move up or down. There will be sideways days, but those are preparing for days where there's a big movement up or down. GBP USD, there's always volume at 9 in the morning. We in South Africa, we're very fortunate to have 2 sessions that we can trade through, where the rest of the world, or I want to say East or West, is only trading their sessions or while these sessions are closed that we are trading. So I sort of just take advantage of the volatility that's there with the time zones that we have. And I find that works best for me.
Yeah. Oh, so that's the reason for you trading GBP USD.
GBP USD, because I can catch London Open and I can catch New York Open, as well as gold, New York, London Open and New York Open. So for me, if I'm making $1,000 a day on those two pairs, I don't need to focus on anything else because this is working for me. But don't get me wrong, there is some days where I question myself and thinking, I haven't traded in 4 days because I haven't seen an opportunity. Why don't I look at USD CHF or something? And then I always remember I have a plan, and that plan says I do not trade that plan. And it's just about that self-due diligence of, okay, my plan says I can't do that, so I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, your plan is constructed on what you failed on before. So why go back to something you failed on? When you have something that's working? Might not necessarily be I've made no trades this week, but I know in the coming 3 weeks that's still left of the month, there will be opportunities. So let me just wait for those.
Yeah.
So patience.
Sure.
Patience.
Sure. Okay. No, that's great. So when you open the charts, what's your approach to the market? Like, what is the first things you look for?
Okay, so the first thing, I'll go up to daily time frame. I look at the daily. I look at recent lows, recent highs, and I use the bias of the last 3 candles to determine what we're doing for the rest of the week. So, for example, I'll open it on Monday, and the last 3 days, so Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, will determine whether I'm looking at the market as bullish or bearish. And then from there, I will drop down to 4 hour. I'm a supply and demand trader. So I look for areas of where there's liquidity, first of all, where there's supply and where there's demand. And again, those 4 things that I use work very well on GBP USD and gold because it's a very volatile pair. You'll see it'll move or in either direction, and it'll always return because of the supply and demand on that. And from there, so it's daily 4 hour, I'll jump down to 1 hour to look for confluences and then execute on 15-minute or 1 minute time frame. It just depends.
Okay. No, that's cool. So you're a day trader.
Day trader, yeah.
Because you said you don't have patience.
Don't have patience, no. Don't take me fishing. No.
Yeah, okay, no, that's cool. Okay, so at this point you've been helping out FX Goats, you're setting up things for them, and then all of a sudden now FX Goats has a CEO.
Yeah, again.
So how does that happen? How do we get to that point?
It happened by mistake again.
Okay.
So actually, while I was in the UK, I was still teaching for FX Goat, and like I said, I mentioned in 2022, I moved down to Cape Town. So I lived in Cape Town, and while I was still there, I was still working for them and doing everything just as a mentor and IT support. And then they called me up for a meeting to Joburg, so we all sat, and I remember we were sitting at Wimpy, and they said, guys, we need a CEO. And I just went, I'll do it. And from then and there, I got a handshake, and I was promoted to CEO. And then it sort of dawned on me of what, I wouldn't say a mess that I have to clean up, but, with me being in companies in the UK, I could see the structure that was set up. So I looked at that and I thought, okay, there's no structure here whatsoever. So I need to start implementing stuff.
Yeah.
And again, going back to implementing, whether it's simple things like having employee contracts, that kind of stuff. So you're covering both sides and just making the business feel like a business, if you know what I mean. And then from there, it just ballooned.
Yeah, the importance of actually setting up, because you find a lot of guys think, hey, look, somebody asked me to teach them how to trade. Then, oh no, another person asked me to teach them how to trade. Oh, that now all of a sudden now they start charging now all of a sudden a business is formed, and what are some of the things that people need to implement, especially now we're in the teaching space? Because I think a lot of people just think, hey, look, deposit money into my account, I'll teach you, we're done, finished. It probably is as simple as that, but people end up growing, businesses end up growing. And I'd also like for, if there's someone out there as well who's thinking or considering it, like getting into the space, that, hey, look, from the beginning, they should already be like considering that, hey, actually I should be working towards having contracts. I should be so what are some of the things of building a successful model? Because what FX Goat is,
I think the biggest thing is just having procedures in place to fall back on if something goes wrong. Because I think at that time I joined FX Goat, I think there was 11 or 14 15 employees, and the thing is there was no structure. It was almost like the company had a goal, right? But the thing is, the goal wasn't being fulfilled correctly by all of the mentors below, because everyone was doing the same thing. Use this link and do this. And I thought, no, there must be a division in what's doing what. Because if we're all pushing in one direction, sure, we're moving forward, but we're not covering as much ground as we should. So it's just like simple as putting procedures in place, such as like, okay, who's in charge of all the requests that we get from the public? Who wants to find out more information? So we put somebody in the customer service side of things. Okay, we put somebody in the marketing side of things. And then we look at the individuals and we say, right, because X, Y, Z are all different types of traders, let's all offer them under our program so that we can offer these services to the clients that best suit. So, for example, if I'm teaching today, I might not resonate with you because my teaching style is different. But if you have a different choice of 3 different people, you can say, okay, I get on with Tabang's strategy. Let me go join his thing on Tuesday and Wednesday. And it's simple things like putting in a timetable, you know what I mean? Putting in that everyone must report to work at 9 o'clock and finishes at 5 o'clock. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you are running a business and all the mentors and stuff are being paid for what they do. Regardless whether they trade on the side, they're fulfilling a purpose at the company. And it's just about ensuring that everybody does their job. Because, I mean, it's like a domino effect. If there's one domino missing, the whole pile doesn't fall. And it's just about putting things into place to safeguard you if something happens, so you know that there's somebody to hold responsible. Because the biggest thing is in a financial industry, you have to be very, very careful of what you say and how you say it.
Yeah.
Because you can say some things, but if you say it this way, it's financial advice. But if you say it this way, it's education. And that was the biggest thing is as a company, that's the problem was we were expanding so quickly that we couldn't look back and think, well, we need to start safeguarding what we say and what we do. And that for me was the biggest thing to implement with them is you can't say you're going to get rich quickly. You can't say this, you can't say that. This is how we do it. You advertise it as this, but once you advertise it as and somebody joins, it's something else. So is that not a definition of a scam? And going through all of that and thinking, okay, well, the marketing can't be done a certain way. Again, I wouldn't say I was running the company solely, but I would say I was doing everything in terms of operations wise at the company, ensuring everybody was pulling the line, doing what they were supposed to. And the thing is, you get lost in the source, and the source is the cash that's coming in.
Yeah.
And I think with the timing and everything, that was exactly what was happening to the top. And that's why I sort of got put into all the mud.
So, how do I ask you this? So the money was coming in?
Yes, because at the time we had, I think before I was here, we had 2 streams of income. It was core sales and then signal groups. And from that, it joined, we had mentorship, private mentorship, we had the course sales, we had the Discord, we had signals, we had community signals. So it opened up a branch to offer the same clients more services. So instead of just selling your course, okay, I'm selling your course, but now here's mentorship. Okay, your mentorship, you still want to make money while you're trading your signals. So it's just about branching out. And the thing is, once we started opening doors, the cash just kept coming in. And the biggest thing is to keep your head in that.
Yeah.
And again, when there's money, there's always problems, especially in a company.
That's true. Yeah, so this giant, FX Goat, probably in our time right now, and kudos to the, I think, can I say to the twins?
To the twins, yes.
To the twins, yeah. Kudos to Emmanuel and Tapelo for what has been accomplished with FX Gold. I think it's one of the very few in this particular generation. I think the previous generation, we had seen this being done by Go Forex. We'd seen this being done by Andile and whatnot, and now it comes to a whole new generation, and then we see it being done again. As so there's always that one individual that is kind of separated, or that entity that's kind of separated from the rest of, like, okay, actually those guys actually did it right, and kudos to them. But now that's not there anymore. I'll say this, and it's out of respect though. FX Gold is no longer FX Gold anymore.
No. So before I go any further, I know there's going to be FX Gold fans that are hating on me for talking about this, but I am forever grateful for what FX Gold has provided to me and what they have managed to do for me in terms of in the public space, building an image, and like you say, kudos to them to what they've managed to achieve. The part where it comes down to where I disagree is how they've managed to sustain where they are. Because I think in the beginning, you started the company for a reason. And you were doing that reason and you were fulfilling that reason and you were making money. But then you sort of outgrew what you wanted to do in the first place. And I think with every company, there's growing pains. But when you lose what your purpose is why you started the company, that is where I find it very difficult. And, I don't agree eye to eye on what they've done in this year, I'm going to say. There's better ways they could have handled it and stuff like that. And, I don't wish them, a failure or anything like that. I wish them success. And I want to see them eat, just not at my table. And that's the biggest thing is there's no hate, there's no nothing. There's simple disagreement on business terms of what they did and how they managed things.
Yeah.
And, I think if FX Gold continued with what it was supposed to be doing and how it was doing, it would be a powerhouse in the industry.
Yeah, that's
But
so
like
true.
I said, you get lost in the sauce.
And the sauce was too much. So, okay. Okay. From the outside perspective, when you look at FX Gold, you see it's the four guys. It's Andy, Jaguar, Emmanuel, Tabelo, and then eventually FX Gold became this thing of like this. Everyone now is like an FX Gold mentor. At some, everyone's the GOAT. Everyone's the GOAT, And then when did things start falling apart? Because I feel like the moment, whatever disagreement was had that side, and I know. Here's one thing I'll say is that I've spoken to everyone individually, but I know there's no beef like that. It's just a matter of everyone just has a different purpose in life, and then y'all just wanted to go different ways. But I feel like from that point, that's when I was like, from a guy from the outside, I'm starting to see is like, hey, one of them is gone. Okay. And then somewhere down the line, people are dropping out left, right, and center. Yeah, was there a particular reason to that?
Okay, I want to say when I joined FX Goat and I was promoted as CEO, I got blamed for firing Andile.
Really?
I was the Mlungu's coming, he's taking over everything, he's getting rid of Andile.
Yeah.
But there was a disagreement between Emmanuel Tapelo and Andile.
Yeah.
And they just couldn't see eye to eye and anything that they were doing, and they just decided that, it's best that we go our separate ways. And I think, like anything, if you look at like bands and stuff, everyone starts out as a band and then they go out and do their own thing. And I think it's just a natural progression of life as you're thinking, I don't blame Andile, to thinking, if I'm doing all of the work or most of the work for the company and I'm only getting a percentage of it, why not do my own thing and I can get 100% of it? And that's why I say he went out and he started his own thing, Providence FX, and he had his own mentors and stuff. But the thing that people don't see is, it's like, imagine today's Friday, Andile has announced that he's left. And now it's Monday, Andile has announced an academy with mentors. Do you think a process like that happens over a weekend?
Definitely not.
This is something that happens, weeks or months in advance, where Andile is not happy with something or wants something to change. So now I'm going to start doing my own thing. And I think that's where the biggest thing comes in, because like the contracts that I put into place, you couldn't work for FX Goat and then go work for a competitor. And I think just by having things like that, and they were going after Andile because the contract and stuff that I had made, and that's where the big disagreements and stuff came in. And I know I don't know the full details, but I know the disagreement was over money.
Yeah. I think it's always over. If it's not girls, it's money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So yeah, that part happened. Okay, and then we go down to now. I think probably one of the most shocking news was like FX Goats is coming to an end, or however that was phrased at the time.
You're referring to that statement on Instagram?
Yes, the Instagram statement. I want to go to the events surrounding that particular statement right there, or to the events leading up to that.
Okay, I want to say, as chief executive, everybody thought that the decision was mine and that I was doing everything. But a week or so prior to this statement that the twins had put out on FX Goat, I actually drove down to Durban, because the offices that they moved into there needed renovation. And I went there for 2-3 days renovating that office. And now for me, when somebody gets asked to renovate, I'm not going to renovate only for the company to close down next week. But I had no idea about this.
Sure.
So I went to Cape Town, I met all the mentors, everyone was in high spirit, everyone was happy. We even went shopping for all the stuffs, and I could see, and we did all the work and stuff, and then we came back, and then that following, I don't remember, I know it was the 28th, without even a message. This is the part where I disagree with how they handle things.
Yeah.
Not even a message, not even an email, not even a kudos, nothing. It just gets put on Instagram. So
but you're the CEO.
Exactly. But now as CEO, I get all the mentors questioning me, why haven't I got a job anymore? And I have to turn around to them and say, guys, I've just learned about this at the same time as you. There's nothing, I was not involved in the decision. I was not even spoken to about this, nothing. But now all of them are turning to me for answers.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm sitting in the same boat as you guys.
You're finding out alongside with the public at this point.
Exactly. And then the real, I want to say the real friction point. So it's the 28th now. Everybody is expecting to get paid. Oh, guys, there's no money to pay you this month. Meanwhile, no hate whatsoever. 2 weeks ago, there's a brand new M8 sitting in his driveway, but there's no money to pay staff salaries this month. So do you see where, as somebody that's at the high up of the company, I'm now being held responsible for these 11 people without jobs, but now you're telling me there's no money to pay anybody, but you got an M8 last week, and then you had that Mercedes 2 weeks before. How is there no money to pay any salaries? And that for me was the biggest sticking point in where everything turned. And, I think just out of the greatness, because imagine the offices were in Vanabale Park, and now they're the message from the top was to say, guys, we are moving to Durban. If you don't move to Durban, cheers. So everybody packed up their life in Vanabale Park. And don't get me wrong, Vanabale Park is not an expensive area to live. They were living comfortably, they could do things. Meanwhile, Durban is on another spectrum. So now they've packed up their whole life and they've gone and they've moved into Durban. And now there's 2 months. Okay, they've been working for a month, they got paid for a month. And now they're coming up to the second month to get paid. Sorry, guys, there's no money. I can't afford, the company can't afford to pay this month. Meanwhile, you've just left your family. You now need to find money to move. You need to pack up all your stuff. You need to pay your month's notice. And now you still expect everybody to get back home. I gave a few mentors petrol money so they could at least go home.
Sure.
And from, I'm actually getting quite emotional about this, but from, somebody that can sit there and say there's not enough money to pay your staff, but don't worry, I'm driving home in an M8. It doesn't sit well with me. And especially when, in South Africa, jobs are very short to come by. So now somebody's been given an opportunity to have a job in something they love. You must see, I'm going to refer to Harvey. When I first met Harvey, he was somebody that, he had a sparkle in his eye. And when he got told he had the job and he could start teaching, he was like a different person, Before that, he was, I wouldn't say he was in a hole and stuff, but he just wasn't the same person that he was. And for FX Goat, they did something really well by lifting somebody out of the dirt. And in my head, I'm picturing that image of Harvey working in the mines, especially with all the heartache that he's had with his family and stuff. I know his mom just passed away. And while he was in Durban, he had issues with his dad, I think. And to be told that now you don't have a job and now you're going back to dust, that for me did not sit well.
Sure.
And, for me, Emmanuel Tapelo, I wish you guys all the best and stuff, but you got to remember, you don't necessarily have to step on other people to raise yourself up. And that for me is exactly what happened. And for me being in a situation that I was, when I didn't get paid that month, I said, no, guys, there's laws. And the problem is the stigma that there was in FX Go is everybody was too afraid to speak up. There was never any backlash. They said you never got paid for today. I wasn't going to question you because I was scared you're going to fine me. And I think the biggest, I don't want to hype myself up too much, but when I was appointed CEO, everybody had somebody that they could at least speak to, if you know what I mean, if they were happy about. And that for me was the downfall of FX Goat. I don't know what happened to, like I said, we were making money, the money was coming in. Now all of a sudden there's no money to pay anybody. It just does not make sense. And as chief executive, I said it today, and I don't know where the money's gone.
Sure.
But I can only make assumptions as to it sitting in a driveway when it's on 4 wheels.
The thing is, I don't know how to put this, there's a reason for these platforms. It's not particularly it's to provide information to people, yes, we won't lie, we do make money from these platforms. It's a business at the end of the day, but I want to discuss, because right now when we look at FX code, people see, or people would perceive, how can I put this? People would perceive that, no, this for me is the end goal. There would be a facade, or right now that we'd see is that, hey, look, I need to be there. I need to be within that particular circle. And look, we speak about the jobs. I'm not against anyone having a job. Not at all. I've got a job myself. This is my job. Yeah. But I think the message of being, I feel like I'm also, this is for myself now, because I feel like I'm trying to put everything together. The message of people, we trade for financial freedom. We trade not to work 9 to 5. We trade because, like, I won't lie, this is news to me that hearing that, hey, mentors I get it. They're employees,
Employed,
yeah, getting salaries, which obviously is understandable, and I'm just like, So now, but on social media, it's car number 17, car number 18, 20, 21, 22, and it kept going.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so defeated by the fact that this image gets put up, and not just by FX Code, by a lot of people in the industry that, hey, look, come trade, and if you trade, and then you'll be successful. You'll have your own money. You won't work for anyone and whatnot. And I guess that is the message that is being passed on by a lot of people, but even as employees. And I'm just like, I feel like there's just like. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Sure. Don't get me wrong. So as a company of FX Goat, the individuals that were employed by FX Goat at the time were there for a purpose.
Okay.
And not only did they benefit the company in terms of it allowed us to generate more revenue, because now there was more bums on seats to host sessions. Because if you think about it, when I joined FX Goat, there was something like 4,500 students between Emmanuel and Tapelo at the time.
Sure.
So now imagine, as two individuals, how do you manage that amount of people?
Yeah.
You can't. So when people were employed, I know Tabanga and Tabiso were the first employees of FX Code. And don't get me wrong, the trading aspect of it is real, right? But as a company, it's almost like us as a company, we're giving you an opportunity to show us your talent and put you in the limelight a little bit. And they did that with me as well. And don't get me wrong, I got a salary from FX Code, but it was not my main source of income. I can't say that for every other mentor, but the thing is, it gave somebody an opportunity to work in an industry they love, as well as be surrounded by it all the time. And I want to say, when you were chosen as an FX Code employee, imagine how many people we had to choose through. So the select individuals that were taken on board for a specific reason. We saw something in them that were different compared to all the rest, if you know what I mean. So the trading aspect on that is all, I can say, real from the mentor side of things. Then our keyword is mentors.
Yeah.
From that side of things is real, because I can see the difference of, I'm going to go back to Harvey. When he joined, he was trading and stuff, and he was following my footsteps. And just the look on his face when he made his first $100, it's like, when you hold like a lollipop up to a baby and, I want to grab it.
Yeah.
That's the face that he bought. Is like, once you're surrounded by these type of people, it's real. It is really, really real. And I think for a lot of the mentors that were there, they did get a lot of success, because, again, I can tell you your future by your 5 closest friends. And when you're surrounded by everyone with a likewise mindset, you're only there to build on each other. You're going to succeed.
Yeah.
And I think FX Goat provided that platform to those individuals to do so. Because, when you joined FX Goat, I want to say you weren't vetted, okay, but you were a trader when you joined FX Goat, because that's why you joined in the first place. So it allowed you to use the FX Goat brand image on your signals, on your own groups and stuff. So not only did it build the company image, it built the individuals. But then it got really sticky towards the end, that, okay, if you want to charge for something with FX Good image, there's a portion that needs to come back to the company. And that's where things just started falling apart. Not like anything.
I kind of get that. It's like franchising at the end of the day. Yeah, it makes sense. But then again, I do understand on both sides.
But the thing is, for me, when I was in FX Code, I had signal groups and stuff, and I always charged for everything. But the biggest thing that there was a disagreement is I offered refunds. So if you join my Signal group and let's say you did not make any money and you said, Andy, I copied the exact same trades as you, I didn't make money. Okay, fair enough. Here's your money back. And the biggest thing is I said, guys, we need to put something in the company that shows that we're not interested in just eating the whole time. And again, disagreements came in because it's over money.
Sure. So at this point, FX Code gets disbanded.
Completely, yeah.
Yeah, completely. Now we can only imagine these thousands of people, students at this point. Do you know what happened to them?
I don't. Again, reading from the statement, they said that all the new enrollments and stuff are going to be closed and all the existing students are still going to be managed. But from an aspect of visibility, I have not seen anything. Because with me being in IT, I had access to all of the platforms from the backside. So all the Discord servers and stuff, but everything is collecting dust. There's absolutely, I don't know if there's new groups and stuff that have been made, but the existing groups that were all there are sitting in with, I think the last message is only advertisements that are being posted there. But in terms of the sessions and stuff that people paid for and the lifetime mentorship, hangas, I don't know.
A lot of people, and I don't want to ask this question. I don't want to, but I know a lot of people will have my head for not even asking you this particular question. The land. The land. Yeah, because obviously at this point, this was like, inspiring so many people, but then the truth came out.
Again, you get lost in the source. So again, I didn't know anything about the stunt that had been pulled.
Okay. It was a stunt.
Who else pulls up camping chairs outside a plot of land and sits there? I think it was only a matter of time before things were, like I said, every single month you're posting a new car. Eventually that's going to dry up. So now you need to go look at other ways to impress that same audience. And I think the pools that were drying up, this was the next step in the pool. And fortunately, they got caught out. And even as chief executive at the time, there was no feet for us to stand on. So as a company, there's a derivative, ignore it. They're just hating, ignore it. And the thing is, you sit there, you're saying they're just hating, but you're watching all the evidence in front of you and you think to yourself, what am I actually representing here? And I think that's where the biggest thing is. I don't know if you're familiar with a term called soft quitting.
Soft quitting.
Yes.
I know silent quitting, not soft.
Silent quitting. Yeah,
same thing.
Same
okay.
thing.
Okay.
So I want to say just before that is when I started silent quitting. I was doing just the basics, just to get by and stuff, because the FX Goat I joined back then versus what it was then was not the same. And that for me was the biggest thing. And we didn't have a foot to stand on. But the company directive, ignore. They're just hating. Ignore it.
Yo. I always wonder like what goes on like inside, like within, like, especially when news like this goes out, and essentially you guys are trending everywhere, people are, and now it's like, yo, what's being said there? Is it just a thing of like, hey, no, it's a whatever thing?
I think it was a mess up at the end of the day. The thing is, you can only lie for so long before stuff comes out, and with what they're doing, I know for a fact everything before that was true.
Okay,
I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen them do things, and I want to say that's when the wheels started falling off FX Goat. Is when everybody makes up their own mind. When you get told, imagine I tell you this shirt is red. You can see it's not red, but everybody else is saying it's red. You know what's in your mind, that you know that for a fact this is grey. But now, I must just sit here and be like, no, they're just hating. Ignore it. The guy, we're speaking to the same guy that exposed them. And when you're sitting with the evidence in front of you, the guy was speaking about his father, he was there, they went and recorded. How do you argue with that? And I think that's why the derivative was, okay, it happened, let's ignore it, forget about it. And then a couple of weeks later, the posts disappeared. And I think when you get caught with your tail between your legs, you're caught. What do you do?
Simple.
Exactly. And like I said, that's when the wheels started falling off.
Yeah, so now you are ex CEO of FX Code.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Indeed.
yeah.
Again, I'm going to go back to I'm grateful for all the learning opportunities and everything that, they've provided for me. From the bottom of my heart, I still love FX Goat as a brand because it's come from nothing to the biggest name in the industry. That doesn't happen by luck. And all the work and stuff that have been put into these to the company FX Goat, the brand image. I think if it continued the way it was supposed to be operated, why it was founded in the first place, we would be unstoppable. But I think, like I said, you just get lost in the sauce, and eventually the wheels start falling off, and you start losing a purpose because now you're sitting with all this money. What do I do with it? And like I said, when you're buying cars and flexing all the time, eventually that pool is going to dry up, and hence we are here where we are today.
Yeah. Okay, now that's heavy. This is all heavy, honestly. No, but thank you so much for getting into that. I hope you guys are happy. Trust me, the comment section is always it's always a wild time there.
Indeed.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, actually, I want to talk about that. Comment sections. Hey, Mara, I think this one you can say skip if you want to. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously there's a lot of people who speak out on social media within the comments. I don't know what was happening within the groups. Were people allowed to communicate within the groups?
Yeah, so it just depended. I have no knowledge of any comments or any freedom of speech against us being muted, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So as a community, there's groups on Telegram where, like, all the students, once you purchase the course and you finish it, you get a Telegram link that takes you to speak with all the students.
Okay.
So you basically you're network working with all the people in the same course, so you can do that. And eventually it did get to a point where the groups were muted from that point of view, where you couldn't send messages unless you were an admin. And a lot of that, again, it's their own fault. Instead of addressing the issue, like, for example, somebody came to our comments and complained about XYZ, instead of addressing the issue, we just delete it. And now what that does is there's a guy that all the mentors hate, is Trading Hub. And somebody goes, instead of you send a message to Emmanuel or whoever the support was to say, look, I'm not happy with this, can I get my money back? You ignore him, you block him. Okay, what does he do? He goes to Trading Hub. Trading Hub then has a community of all the people that are tired of being scammed and all of the BS that's going on. And now he decides, okay, let's go flood this group. I have a link to that group, let's go flood it. And that's where the suppression started coming in. But from Instagram, I've never logged into the FX Code Instagram. I don't have access to it. But I've never ever suppressed anybody complaining about nothing. I still have all the group chats of where people would message me as CEO saying, hey, I bought the course, it's rubbish, this, can I get my money back? But again, like I mentioned in the previous podcast, there's a thing called terms and conditions.
Yeah, no, 100%. Read your terms and conditions, guys. Every business has one. And because I think if you guys go, and a lot of guys need to have terms and conditions, especially guys providing services.
Exactly.
It's so important because, yes, right now, okay, let me take, for instance, Takealot. They've got terms and conditions. You know, if you purchase a product from them or whatever, yes, in the terms and conditions, you can return it on whatever basis that fall within the terms and conditions, whatnot. But the moment it falls out of, and I feel like, hey, look, let's say I'm allowed to return a certain product with, it's a scenario I'm creating, guys. Let's say I'm allowed to return a product within 6 months, and I decide to try return it within 6 months and 2 days. That's out of that. Now, I can't go on social media and call Takealot a scam. But
exactly.
a lot of people will probably, there will be the thing of like, hey, no, Takealot is scamming me, whatnot, 1, 2, 3, 4, because it kind of fell out of their terms and conditions, you know, whatever they said was in place. And I think a lot of mentors in the industry, if they were to have terms and conditions of like, look, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If this were to happen, 1, 2, 3, this were to happen. If failure of service, things like that. Yeah, and also, guys, the mentors must also take accountability for the fact that you guys are providing a service to people in exchange for funds. You know, don't think now the terms and conditions must be in the favor of
the business owner must also be in the favor of the client,
the customer,
should you not be able to provide that service. So I think it would save so many people, like, you know, especially the scam word would kind of disappear there, and people would know, hey, I'm here for this. Oh, I read, I can't do 1, 2, 3, and they can come and question it. And if you're not happy with it, go to another place.
Exactly. And I think with FX Goat, we had that a lot in the beginning, being called a scam because I can't get a refund. But the thing is, we're selling a digital product. We have no way of figuring out if you've copied that course, whatever, already, and now you just want to send it back because it's a digital file. So how do you take it back? How do you ensure that it's not being copied? And the biggest thing is with when we expanded into offering services on Discord, we were charging $18 a month to $250, and you got Zoom sessions every day of the week. But now the thing is, there were some sessions that were missed because of load shedding. And now load shedding is out of our control. We can't control it. But now you're not having a session, but now you're saying we're scamming because you're not giving a session or your money back. But it clearly states in the T's and C's, before you even purchase, you have to tick a box. So there's no way you could have got access to that without ticking that box. And a lot of people feel outdone by that. But at the same time, you've done it on your own prejudice. You've ticked that box and you've submitted. Again, I don't know if it's out of excitement to join a group or to start trading or what, but people always forget that there's protection in place for both parties.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time we did get people calling us a scam because we couldn't refund them, or we banned them from the server because they're sharing our content. In Discord, we had a big issue where we would sell it to you for $250, but you're a mentor yourself, and now you're sharing the stuff to all your groups.
Yeah.
But now you're charging for that as well. So you're making money from us. So obviously we're going to ban you. We're not going to give you a refund. Even though you've bought a 6-month upfront period, you've gone against the T's and C's. How are we scamming? And that's a big misconception that we got. Is a lot of it was scams. And don't get me wrong, there is some instances where customers were blatantly ignored or just left to fend for themselves. But we sit where we are today.
Yeah, it makes me sad. It really does make me sad. You know, but I guess now we sit and wait for the next thing. But I think they have FX Goat has written its name in history. Dependent on who you are, you can decide which side of history you place them on. But regardless of
They were there.
They were there and they did it. Yeah, and you were part of that. But now you're Andy. Who's Andy now? What's happening with Andy right now?
Okay, so like I said, I have businesses in the UK, and I've actually just set up. I have Mzansi Funded Traders, Mzansi Global Markets, and I have a store called Tree of Life, Stella and Bosch.
Okay,
which is a store out in Cape Town that I opened last year August. We've been open more than a year now. In South Africa, that's probably my main income. And essentially, I'm just really focused on running Mzansi Global and Mzansi Funded Traders for the time being. So we're carrying on.
No, that's great. That's great. Things are moving. Okay. So I think you've already touched on your best trade, which was the 25,000 to 100K. Your worst trade. Your biggest loss, if you can put it like that. And like I always tell people, it's not, I'm not referring to a monetary term, but just a loss where you're like, nah, that is actually my biggest loss.
Yeah, I would say it's when I first started making money in Forex. You know, again, I'd say I lost that amount of money, but it's all money that I've gained from the market and then gave back. And I think the biggest thing that set home is one day I was trading and I had about a £6,000 account and I took it to about £42,000 in a week. And I know on a Friday I closed at £46,000 and I was celebrating. I was like, I can't wait for Monday because I want to take this to 100K. And that Monday came and I went to work and I came home and I was in tears and this and this. And my mom sat down, she's like, what's wrong? And I said, I took that amount of money to 46 and now that 46 is back at zero. And that for me, when at that time my parents didn't really know all too much about trading and how it worked, and so it was like, is it a scam, Ponzi scheme, this kind of thing. And then when she saw the state of me after losing that £46,000, she sat down and she said, Andrew, do you know how long it takes people to make that in the UK? And I was like, what do you mean? That's somebody's yearly salary you've lost on Monday. And if ever since that day, that was probably the hardest part. Is like I said, we didn't grow up wealthy. So to tell your mom, listen, mom, I've lost R1 million, and that disappointment and shock on her face is, how do you, as a child, sit there? Because as a child, you want to make your mom happy, you want to make her proud.
100%.
And in that moment, you're sitting there thinking, yeah, I've probably just lost what my mom made in a whole year. Because I wasn't grateful for that 46 or whatever. And that for me was not only that wasn't the biggest monetary loss, but that was the biggest loss I had in terms of figuring out who I was and what I wanted to do. And just, nobody wants to see their mom disappointed or upset. But when you sit there and you just look at her in the eyes and you can see that's what she makes in a year, for example, and you think, I lost that in one trade on Monday. All because I was impatient. That for me was the biggest loss.
Yeah.
Just seeing that look. But I'm glad to say my mom is quite proud of me. I'm 23. I've achieved quite a bit. But everybody has to reach rock bottom before coming up. And I think everybody has a stage in their life where they'll do that. But again, don't measure your journey to everybody else's.
Yeah, that's so true. It's so true. Sure. Now, we've had a great conversation. I think everyone knows a little bit more about Andy today. I'm wishing you all the best, especially with some Mzansi global markets. We had a chat. We had a small chat last week when we shot the round table, and you just shared your vision on that, and I'm ready for it, and I'm just ready. Actually, can you share it with the people? I think it'd be nice for people to just know, why Mzansi global markets, and not that we're promoting it, but it's just I just want you to just speak on that, because there's a lot of traders moving into the CEO, or not CEO, but like traders moving into the brokerage space. And I think there's a certain model that everyone is like has seen it being successful. But now everyone's like, hey, we're trying to replicate that. And I think people kind of just forgot is that, hey, there's actually a different way of doing things.
Indeed. I think the biggest thing in South Africa, it comes down to, I think, the term local leaves such a sour taste in people's mouths because of the history. I mean, you can only judge somebody based on their past.
Yeah.
And when you look at all the local brokers and how they've, for lack of a better word, screwed people over, you think to yourself, there's such a massive, for me, there's such a massive business opportunity to be the light in the industry, to give that person an opportunity to actually make some capital, if you know what I mean. With all the big names in the country at the moment, there's no problem when you lose money. No, come deposit some more. But the minute you make money, and I'm speaking from experience with FX Goat and Junior and Prince, he took 800 Rand to 800K. And this particular broker refused to pay out.
Sure.
But now imagine if Junior had lost 800K. The broker would be like, shop, come again.
Yeah.
But the big thing is there's a big way that brokers are operated in South Africa to the benefit of the broker and not the client. Because at the end of the day, as a trader, you're there for opportunities. And when a broker, don't get me wrong, trading the markets is hard enough as it is. But now when you're fighting the markets and a broker to get your money out, who is rooting for you? And I want to say that I started in Mzansi Global to start rooting for the clients to actually make something out of their life. And like I said, if somebody came to me with their last 500 Rand to eat for the month or to trade, if they had to lose that 500 Rand, it should be done so on their own accord. Not that I've done anything behind the scenes to manipulate that 500 Rand. I don't need that 500 Rand to live comfortably at the end of the month. But if I can give you an opportunity to say, I turn 500 Rand into 10,000 Rand and this broker paid me out, I want to be there to say, well, you did it because you worked hard and you deserve it. Not, you were scalping, you're not allowed to scalp. Or you were doing this, you're not allowed to do this. So as a broker in South Africa, it's very easy to find excuses not to pay out. And we want to be the reason to actually start paying people out of all the work and stuff that they've put into it. Because there's nothing worse than I was trading with this one broker and I was in profit and they wouldn't let me close.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden it closed in negative. And just that feeling that you have inside, it's like you're being robbed, but like you're being professionally robbed. These people have a license and everything, but I'm being robbed like this. So I wanted to be somebody that somebody could come and trade to and trust and ensure that they're 500 Rand, if they make money, they're going to get that money. And if I wanted to start a broker like anybody else, I would be in the same business, And like I said, with last week's episode, there's IBs and stuff that have approached us to say, well, give us a test account with 100,000 in it, I'll promote for you. That's not what we're about. We're not interested in you flexing this 100K test account because you and I both know that it's fake. You're just selling a dream to an individual that's looking up to you. But then once they reach that point, they're gonna be like, "Yo, I've just been disappointed again." Life is hard enough as it is.
Yeah, so
And
true.
I mean, and I always say to people, life is hard enough as it is. It takes one person to stand and make somebody's day. Whether that be something simple like paying for somebody's meal at McDonald's that's behind you in the driveway. There's an old lady paying for groceries at Checkers. You stand up and pay for her. So for me, that's what I wanted to do for the traders in South Africa, without taking their money offshore, without paying ridiculous fees, to give some local people a local place that they can take their business. Because I mean, in South Africa, there's not many opportunities as it is, but now you take your opportunities offshore. You're making European countries richer that don't need to be richer, if you know what I mean. Where in South Africa, if Mzansi Global had to grow as what we're expecting it to, we're going to create jobs. And the thing is, we're doing it at the core of helping the traders in South Africa. We're not looking to benefit. I mean, for us, we make money on the volume because we've gone through the legal route to get an ODP certificate that we can put people on A-book. So we make money on the volume, it's not when you lose. And I think that's the biggest thing in the country is that as a broker, they're betting against you. And I'll tell you, anybody that wants to trade with the Mzansi Funded Traders or Mzansi Global Markets, we are rooting for you. I mean, we celebrated that one payout of $400. It's only $400, but the fact that it's legitimate and it's come from the same client that failed 2 or 3 times and now has made a withdrawal means the world to us. And that's all we could want. You know, no matter how slow or how busy business gets, as long as we're there, we know we're making a difference in somebody else's life. For me, my job is done.
Sure. Beautiful stuff. No. Thank you so much for coming.
No stress. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. I hope you guys enjoyed today. It was a bit different because, you know, you had a segment of your life that we needed to dive into because you're a public figure.
Sure.
Yeah, no, guys. Thank you so much for coming. That is my last thank you. And then, like I said, I wish you all the best with your future endeavors.
Thanks, man.
I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. It's myself, Nqobile Tembane, and I had Andrew Walker here on the show. And a big shout out to our sponsor, FX, for making this all possible. You guys even see the new setup, guys. You see the new setup, eh? Shout out to the sponsor. Guys, and a big thank you to FX. And see you guys same time, same place next week. And we are out.